You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's the most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. My guest this morning, Yunusa Fuseni, is lawyer, former MP Tamale Central, and former Minister Lands and Natural Resources, and also Roads and Highways. Suleiman Ibrahima is Executive Director, the Media Foundation for West Africa. Mary Awalana Ada is Executive Director, Ghana Integrity Initiative. And Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications, the New Patriotic Party. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Newsfile.
Thank you very much.
Great. So we are canvassing three important matters regarding, first of all, the issues happening as far as the Galamsey fight is concerned. There's also the corruption matter. Of course, we can deal with the Galamsey fight and dovetail that into the corruption issues. And the president said it's unfortunate that he continues to be tagged as a clearing agent. He says that will not stick. He will only investigate. He will only take action when there is evidence. So, as always, this show is brought to you by Bank of Africa. Strong is a group and close a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance. Dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks is strong. It's tough. Flamingo Paints. It's simply superior. And so now let's begin by going to Amenfi and speak to and hear the MCE for Amenfi East. After that, we will hear, let's begin by hearing the MPP parliamentary candidate for that constituency, what he had to say that irked every sane person. And also what has happened as reported to us by the MCE for Amenfi East.
The Municipal Security Council. What's your own view on these comments?
In fact, I would say it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and that is why we have referred the issue to a regional police command. Municipal security, they don't want to involve ourselves because it might escalate. That is why we have referred the issue to the higher authority to take the issue up. So I will condemn it outright. But I will say the youth will not rely on this comment to attack the security. We have had a very serious issue before, but it did not warrant for any attack. So I don't see this comment to warrant for any attack on security service.
Operation Hot, Galamsey, Abba, the soldiers for now. Omutumosusama, a training official. Only a pregnancy on the yes, it will be about site our pregnancy or question. It's our power. So about patrol. And patrol now soldiers need security services in the woman. And my road business with it. It is a wild flow now of 5 million, 3 million, 10 million. Now the region of Pansy of 1 to 4 one of the man. Sadly, because the police for this soldiers so you that around them at the office, at cases are more man, you know, who you have for you. And in Zimbabwe, or people patrol, as I said, when they are so while for money, the wild person of the mama. On board in Mamma. But so people say, or you saw your indicating too much in but too control my own game and track ideas or more Mumbo Kamau. Oh, yes. So, my patrol or the patrol. And the Akasa authority on the age you must have mature. Young Jeffrey said. You don't know where you get a moment to or also young nigga, do the thing. I said, but the women are saying, we know where you're gonna fall. And Bravo, we are mobile, so here you make it. Or no, I want to move on with the ball. So, Moon is hard. esisi no so bitwa mo de no tu mutirima esisi no so bede e bitwa minim site a omo ni police for kon ya o ma no hwe a ye ko kan bi ma omo a and the police for no mu twa obi a obi but the obi bi a o ka say o ma bi bia o be ba week o be ba 3 4 5 mo nya bi ma police ni o ma bi mo ya ban tri o mo ka mo nya bi ma so jani o ma bi mo ya ban tri o mo ka and if you also got the idea what go do so a perform edge now hey to go there will be better to so police ni let me what to go what you see that and the entire man picture me kakaka enutina omo jeje mo list e ma mo tire mo din ni mo number ni na mo tire ni number no mo je ni creative platform and members to the MC members to the regional minister me dey never to so na ya say your mo dey say wo site be bi no bi ba ho na won dey twa wo dey pepe bi and network gina na your voice message actual platform this is say Mrs. Vicenzo asomdwi so yes for me abaha omo say omo bechi e say machine on the fire machine akọ fahe kusi ni sa time no so me menti your better friends say ongo vesa case no.
Let's go to Amenfi and the MPP parliamentary candidates for Amenfi East, Ernest Frimpong. The video you watched a while ago, among the things he said, quote, Operation Halt, Galamsey, whatever. There have been about 3 different operations for the Galamsey campaign, anti-Galamsey campaign. He says Operation Halt, Galamsey, whatever. Soldiers that ambush you, we have cancelled all those operations. So if anyone comes to your site, you have the right to question him on his mission there. But if anyone comes around and says, because he's a soldier, leave the site and dismantle your machines, don't be moved by the uniform he is wearing. If he beats you, beat him back. Fight him. I will come to your defense. Among others, he says, with all the quote-unquote noble people sitting by with him there at the high table, so to speak, that they are forming, he's creating a WhatsApp platform, and he's putting the minister and everybody on that platform. If the people come to them, the security people come to them, I don't know how he wants them to make the differentiation between those who are on patrol duties and those who are not on patrol duties. He says they should respect those on patrol duties, and those on patrol duties, they can give them money from their own hearts if they so wish. But those who are not on patrol duties, when they come and question them, they should beat them back. They shouldn't allow the gun to threaten them. And then he said they will set up a WhatsApp platform, and on that platform, they'll put the minister and everybody there. So they are taking the numbers of these miners. When it does happen, they should make a voice note or something to alert them, and he will ensure that they come to their aid. Either himself, the minister, or the powerful people that will be on that page. How do you process this? Let's begin with Mary. The military has issued a statement. They have condemned these comments without saying directly that this is the particular individual they are condemning. The NDC issues a statement and says the military have done a poor job. They should have named him and make the condemnation direct. The military has warned that if you do things this way, their men may retaliate or fire back, and that may be dangerous. So they don't encourage it. We understand he's been arrested. We don't know what he's been charged with so far, but of course, he's been granted bail. and I suppose self-recognizance bail. Nobody has been there to stand shorty for him. Yes, Mary.
So with Galamsey, with all the other policy initiatives that were put in place by government and also the various joint groupings to ensure that we fight this menace of Galamsey, already showed signs of policy failure from inception. We are not surprised that with impunity, those who have power or those whom the people of Ghana have assigned power per the Constitution to ensure that they protect this land as we sing our national anthems and other songs, patriotic songs. These are the same people, perhaps let me say, most of these are the same people who are seen to be detractors of the states. Let me not put it any other way, because we see policy that is put in place which didn't have any signs of the citizens coming together to do it, to identify what exactly the problem is. And we went on just like we usually would do with the stopgap measures we put in place because something has happened and we needed to create the impression that we are doing something about it. Until the joint civil society effort, the media and others came on, I believe that was the best effort thus far, which facilitated government coming on board. It showed every sign that there was no true commitment. I say so again because most political actors were cited as doing this. Joy and others have shown with evidence that people who have...
Did we lose Mary there?
And they again, so it's not surprising that
we lost you. We lost you where you said the Joy documentaries, Erasmus Asaredonko more particularly, and other media publications have established that what? That people who have done what?
Have established that politically exposed persons are part of these challenges we are currently
All right, we'll have to try and clean your line. It's terrible. At the point, the things you are saying, we hardly can hear you. Yes, Yusuf Seni.
Well,
I get her to be saying that there have been evidence of wrongdoing by people in high places and nothing has happened to them, and that is encouraging the impunity. But I'm not sure we have heard before anybody make this kind of statements that Ernest has made.
No, we have not. Everybody has been quite careful and cautious in openly and directly making statements that affront the position of the president. But covertly, we have always known that the fight, there's no total commitment to the fight to stop Galamsey. We have also known that whereas the Galamsey activities are continuing on a daily basis and probably escalating, they appear to be a public position that the fight is being carried out. I say this because in 2017, 2018, there was a total ban on small-scale mining, total ban. And that was the period that Ghana exported the highest amount of gold from the small-scale mining sector.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I read that report and I just couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to make of it. The time when the thing has been banned, that's when you have the highest export of it.
Yeah, so we have always known this. And then Galamsey has taken a center stage in the politics of this country. I mean, you have more than 1 million people employed in small-scale mining. That is a constituency that cannot be ignored in election time. And
right.
So, and no one should belittle the difficulty, reduce the difficulty in fighting Galamsey. I mean, it's quite difficult. And that is why we had expected that government shows commitment towards that fight, not in grandstanding, but in taking action directed at.
But the difficulty you talk about includes the political issue.
Yes.
So that while President Akufo-Addo, even if it is grandstanding, is saying we are cracking the whip on it, then Mahama goes on the campaign trail and says we will give amnesty.
Yes, so it's important to understand the amnesty that President Mahama spoke about. We had arrested a Chinese national, and the law had provided for how to deal with the Chinese national. The law has said that the Chinese national or any foreign national arrested doing Galamsey must be prosecuted, and if convicted, must serve the sentence. It is only after serving the sentence that we can deport the Chinese national. So to truncate the process, ignore the law, put monetary benefits over the propriety of the law, grant that Chinese national amnesty, and deport her without going through the motions.
That would not be a justification for what President Mahama said. I know that there's a risk to get into the politics of it.
I'm not talking
and
about
not deal with the
politics.
issue.
I'm talking
because
about
previously, when President Mahama was also fighting it, Akufo-Addo also had a similar thing to say, which was not helpful to the fight when he was campaigning. So let's come back to this issue for now. What do you think should be happening? Has any wrong been done? What do you think should be happening?
No, it is totally wrong to send a signal to wrongdoers that they can continue on that path. If you're a public officer or if you are seeking public office. Okonko, things fall apart. Jina Chibi has said that if somebody comes to your house to defecate in front of your door, you don't tell that person or you don't run to the police station to invite the police to come and arrest that person. You use self-help. You compel that person to collect the fees. As a public officer or a person seeking public office, you must always uphold the sanctity of the law.
Does it matter that he was not talking to Galamseyers, but he was talking to minors who have license and who are being harassed? Does it matter that he says, cooperate with those on patrol, but hit back at those not on patrol?
It matters when you reduce the authority of an institution like the military, who, ordinarily will not be doing security work inland by protecting our boundaries. But because of the inadequacy of the numbers of policemen to go around doing that, we have deployed them to the field to help the police in bringing sanity into the small-scale mining sector. Mind you, there are rules of operation. When the military go onto any site, they demand to see the license, the authorization with which a person is mining. It is only when they are satisfied that that person has no license that they act. They don't act with indiscretion. And that is the beginning of the rule of law, that people must act in conformity with the law.
He's been arrested. He's been granted bail. The police do now have a certain centralized way of communication. So the media is unable to speak to the police in the district to get any information. Or we are told that he's been arrested and granted bail. Potentially, what is he going to be charged with? What do you know?
Inciting the people against incitement. It's inciting the miners against the military.
Is this section 202 207.
You are a practitioner, so
okay. Of the Criminal Law and Other Offences Act. It's a provision that the police have used too often. Conduct that is conducive to 207. Offensive conduct conducive to breaches of the peace. Any person who, in any public place or at any public meeting, uses threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior with intent to provoke a breach of the peace, or whereby a breach of the peace is likely to be occasioned, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. They have used this, including against journalists and so.
Yeah.
So this is what you are looking might happen. Or also Section 205 of the Criminal Offences Act, assault, etc. on public officer. It says that whoever assaults, obstructs, molests, or resists, or aids, or incites any other person to assault, obstruct, molest, or resist any public public or peace officer, or any person employed by a public or peace officer acting on whatever, shall be guilty as well.
Yes. So it's incitement. I mean, he's committed a crime. You're not allowed to say those things to people which can occasion the breach of the peace. You are not also allowed to prevent or do anything that prevents a public officer in carrying out his duties, or obstructing a public officer in the performance of his duties. And so, that is a serious offense, actually. We have amended the law to make it quite a serious offense. So, clearly, he ought not to have been carried away by the situation in which he found himself, because as a leader, leadership is quite difficult. You must be able to be truthful to the people that you seek to lead, and also try to bring them to your side to understand the perspective of the country. Because you are not seeking to be an MP for only your party. You are seeking to help the country progress, move forward. Okay. And so, in seeking a leadership position, one must be conscious of the fact that that responsibility will be onerous. Okay. And that not all people will go along with you.
Sule, is it fair to use this incident to say the fight against Galamsey is lost?
Well, in my view, not just this incident, but realistically speaking, I think that we lost the battle way back. And all those who are keenly following...
We lost the battle way back.
Yes.
At a time when it has been most heightened.
Yes.
With the president putting the presidency on the line.
Well, I think, to use your word, in my view, that was basically some grandstanding on the part of the president. Because you only have to read Professor Frimpong Boateng's report to come to the conclusion that, well, it was either some public deception activity that was happening, or, you know, it was basically politics as usual. Because Frimpong Boateng highlights some of the challenges, even within the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, and talks about the conduct of some members of parliament, talks about the involvement of some government officials and appointees in the mining activities that were supposed to be dealt with, talks about, you know, how communities were complaining, and yet people were still, you know, going on with their activities. And we've read reports about the committee itself storming a particular forest reserve and discovering that there were military people there actually protecting the illegal miners. At a time when we say we had Galamsey, you know, all the other operations that were put in place to ostensibly stop mining. And then the committee gets into a forest reserve and discovers that there's actually a group of military officers protecting the miners. And these are also issues that Erastus has raised in many of his reports. Now, Samson, I think that beyond even the Frimpong Boateng report, which people, you know, would dispute that, some parts of the reports, you know, are not true, or a true reflection of the happenings, you only need to travel across the country to see the ongoing devastation. And it is not a different president who is there. It's the same president who said he will put his presidency on the line against illegal mining.
As a result of which you have a hung parliament. He would have had perhaps a majority parliament. But because of this campaign, he didn't get as many MPs into parliament.
Well, I wonder if there has been any scientific study to prove to that point, that it was because of that posturing.
They made losses in those mining areas where they would originally make some, you know,
I
good showing.
For example, in 2016, the MPP won the election, as is always mentioned, by almost 1 million votes. Was it because there was some efforts to stop some mining activities to happen?
That was the president. That was the president.
But before then, the NDC had majority in parliament. And 2016, they lost drastically, came to about 103 or so. So I am not saying that I have any evidence to say, well, it was because of the activities against illegal mining or otherwise, but I also believe that it is just one of those things that supports a certain narrative without any basis. Now, I know you know about the activities that are ongoing in our forest reserves currently. You know, literally about some 22 or 23 forest reserves have been literally given away for mining. And it is happening under this same precedent. So the other day when this Greening Ghana activity was happening, I had always argued that this is a great initiative to try and, you know, get our country, you know, with more trees, against the backdrop of this ongoing climate change and all the challenges with environment. But what is the point in saying that you are greening Ghana and destroying the green that already exists? and it's as a result of the introduction of LI 2462 that allows for the president to actually waive that ban on mining in forest reserves. So people have said, look, this whole activities in our forest reserves cannot happen if the president, you know, doesn't approve of it. So are these things happening with the tacit approval of the president? And the question is, why do you destroy existing, not just forest, but we mean forest reserves, including areas that have been designated as globally significant biodiversity areas?
Achimota.
Yes.
No, Achimota.
No, Kakum.
Kakum
and other places.
Chibi.
Yes. You know,
Chebi.
So how do we then believe that indeed there is that commitment to this whole mining activities? And of course it is complex, Samson. If you and I come from Upper East, and now people say, well, it is becoming the capital of mining. A lot of mining activities taking place there. You talk to the people and they will tell you, should we sit on the land that we are told has gold and yet be hungry? So it comes down to what opportunities are we creating for the people if we're saying that they shouldn't go into mining? Because you cannot simply say, stay there, be hungry, we'll give your land to a large-scale concession or a legal miner, and they will come and take away whatever it is that they have to take away, and then you would be there. It's a very complex situation. But I don't think that there has been that commitment to really dealing with this mining menace. You go across, I mean, the white Volta, the red Volta, the tributaries in the north. You go and they're all milky, looking brown.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody told me in Bolga, I was in Bolga at the beginning of the week, and somebody said, oh, we used to be told that the definition of water, or one of the clear characteristics of water, is that it's colorless. And that definition has now been defined in Ghana. You know, water is, you know, has a brown color because of this whole illegal mining activities.
I'm not too old, but you know, we played in those places. The water running through so clean. Yes. We fetched and drank from them straight away without treating.
Yes. And Samson, let me say that maybe in the coming weeks, we will let Ghanaians know the people behind the leases that have been granted in these forest reserves. And I'm sure that you're going to be shocked. And that would give you more evidence that...
Fort Estate doing some RTI again.
Exactly. You know, and that would tell
RTI
you
journalism,
whether
and it's good.
the president has been committed to this whole fight or has not been committed.
What do you expect? What do you expect should happen in this instance situation?
With regards to the gentleman?
Yes.
Well, as Honorable Inusa said, this is somebody seeking to be a lawmaker, to make laws. And I believe that every MP, when they make laws, they expect that the laws will be enforced. Enforcement of the law is supposed to be done by the police. And of course, the military is there to defend the territorial integrity of our country. And for the sake of seeking to win power in order to come and make laws, you are saying that if a military man comes to your area and tries to do whatever, if they beat you, beat him back. If they slap you, slap him back. And these are the kinds of people that we potentially would have in parliament. In a serious country, I think that processes would have included possibly disqualifying such a person from even running.
But the law on disqualification in this situation will be after a conviction.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is why I'm saying
because you hear him also saying, and I don't know if you process it the way I do, he's urging them to give bribes.
Yes.
Yes. Says if it's 2 million, 5 million, you give it to those people so that they will be nice with you. That is out of your own magnanimity. You know, I'm like, this is going to be a lawmaker in my country.
Yeah, and for me, that is the problem. But Samson, you know what? I think we have to also be fair. I am sure it's only because it has come out. But I believe that across the country, across both parties, people are doing and saying things that perhaps may even be worse than this. It's only that in this case, we are realizing it.
Right.
Because we've gotten to a point where in this country, people think that to get power, anything goes. It's not about the patriotism, it's not about the future of the country and all of that. It's about whatever I would do to get power, I would. And that is why we're witnessing all these chaos and confrontations at, registration centers, transfer of votes that is happening.
Would you say there's something we ought not be oblivious of? But whether that's a justification for his comments, I don't know. And Honorable Yunus Afuseni can actually help because he has been there. There are soldiers, there are police officers, national security officers who are actually exploiting and extorting minors. And it appears this is this man's target in this conversation. That they come there and harass them. People who have not been sent to go and do that kind of job, they are there. And I think there have been occasions where we have seen the evidence, where even among the police and the military, there's some infighting because somebody's block belongs to some chief somewhere. And when I say chief, I mean military chief or somebody.
No, Samson, I think I mentioned a while ago that in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, he talks about a point where at one point when the Interministerial Committee went to a forest reserve, there were military people there protecting the illegal miners. It's something that he's highlighted.
Right.
And if you were to talk to people in various communities affected by mining and why we are unable to deal with the menace, they will tell you that, oh, the security people who are deployed, they come for the first 1 week, maybe they are committed, but after that, they actually would be supporting the people to do the mining. They would tell them, oh, tomorrow we hear that commander is coming, so tomorrow we'll come to site. So tomorrow please don't go for these activities. And eventually they link up with the miners. Whatever the miners are getting, they share with them, and then activities continues. And that is why I talk about the whole thing about whether we really have patriots in this country, people who really care about the future of this country, the sustainability of this country. I think that for me is the most fundamental question or fundamental problem. Everyone wants to do just anything to survive, get whatever they would want to get. So if it's a police officer, he goes there and say, oh, am I the only one who is coming to defend Ghana? Everyone is doing whatever they would do to get their money. Why am I here to, kill myself?
From where you sit as a media trainer and working in the media, would you say the police have a duty to give us updates on this, beyond simply informing us that he's been arrested? And the arrest happens at a point where people actually have their doubts whether this is not contrived as a ruse to get us off, this issue. So they say, oh, once we say there's an arrest and they are dealing with it, people will not say anything about it again. He will go on and do his job.
Well, I think it's an important issue. And I believe, as I said, there are other people who may be doing other things that perhaps would even be worse than this. I mentioned that in a serious democracy, processes would have been activated that could possibly even lead to the disqualification of this gentleman. And I think you come from the legal perspective. But the political side of things, whether NDC or MPP, if a party wants to say, look, we are a national, national development, national-oriented party, the president has a position on this matter, has made declarations, we've sent out troops, spent so much money. If we have a candidate who has this kind of posturing as a political party, because when the MPP or NDC sometimes impose sanctions or do some disqualifications, it's not about having gone through the courtrooms and so on and so forth. It's about the party and how it interprets things. Kwabena Japan, Afoko and others, were relieved of their post, and I don't think it was after a court decision. The party would have its own internal
Yeah, but my
processes.
question was specific about what the police should be doing, because now the journalists do not have the opportunity to ask the police officers there what they are doing and to get updates.
I think...
now the police does this at their own pleasure. Yeah. If they want to issue a statement or they put a tweet, then the media go pick it up. They don't speak to the media.
Well, I think the media certainly have a responsibility to keep following this matter. As journalists, there is a limit we can go. If you try to engage an actor within a news story and they are unwilling to state their position or state their side of the story, and there's evidence that you've done what you have to do, you can go ahead and do your story. I would want to believe that part of the things we should also do is to engage the police at headquarters to say that, look, this is a matter of national interest. We would want to have updates about it. Your commanders on the ground, not even the regional commander, is allowed to grant interviews, or unless maybe permission is granted, which is, as has been said, a very problematic position and policy to adopt. But otherwise, we have to keep following. And I will be interested in knowing what the position of the MPP as a political party on this is.
Richard is here. Yeah, Rich. So, how is the party at your own level processing this, if at all?
Samson, well, thank you very much. I've been listening rather closely, and it's a good thing that you invited my senior brother, Inisa Fuseni, to be with us, because he has regulatory experience with that space. And some of his comments that is made on those often debatable, but you can see through them some honest effort or commitment to see that how do we fight this as a country and still be in a position to allow for the endowment of gold in our land to be exploited for our collective benefit. So there is an intractable situation before us. Hydra-headed situation. You try to fix it. There is no silver bullet on what to do about it. But one thing I'm clear about in my head is the unimpeachable commitment of the president to want to fight this. So respectfully, there is no public deception activity going on about President Akufo-Addo's commitment to fight Galamsey. It is clear from day one he wanted to fight this, and he's focused on it. Something, before I proceed, the difficulty with the fight against Galamsey is quite simply the fact that it is a lucrative venture. And rational human beings, when they find opportunity, society and government set up to protect the collective good of society, seeking to regulate that opportunity, they'll find means to deal with it. What we are told is that Galamsey or illegal small-scale mining or small-scale mining precedes our time. It's been there during PNDC, whatever time, since independence or before independence. It's been there. It attained a certain scale now that is threatening to the environment. And also primarily because environmental conversation globally has been heightened. And so therefore attention is focused on that. And the president rightly, from when he came into office, decided that this must be confronted head on and has done everything to support media partners and advocates in civil society who want this fought. And everything policy-wise that ought to be done has been done to fight this. The challenge remains that the pursuit of that venture being profitable, you have people finding their way, not sanctioned by the state, but as individual pursuit, they are engaged in that. And that, for me, is the challenge. And the people live near the gold, and you make policy. There is corruption in the security service that enables that. Policy cannot check that. You can always try to minimize. The fact that you're a lawyer, the fact that you make law doesn't mean that that crime you are trying to legislate or prohibit in law naturally fizzles out. But you do so it's a deterrent. People don't do it, and if they do it, they get punished, and that's how you build society. And so the effort to fight Galamsey has been resolute and ongoing. The challenges we are finding is people's interest. Now, you made a very good point about the 2020 election and the suffering of the MPP in the mining areas that is documented. I don't think you need any empirical study, because the election itself is empirical, right? It gives you absolute verification of what is and what is not. So the seats that we lost are not there. We had them, we lost them on the basis of that fight against Galamsey. So that is explicit and manifest. You will see the NDC, and in the 2020 election, commit to a campaign that offer incentive to Galamseyers, that when you vote for the NDC, we will liberalize the space, would allow for you to mine. There's video evidence to that. There's reports to that effect. When you put that message, it doesn't matter what the commitment of the president is. You create incentive for people, enable them, embolden them to do the very thing that you are trying to prohibit in law. And so the charge cannot be that there is any public deception activity, but as a deliberate political, exploitation of the fight to end Galamsey, and another seeing opportunity to enable it, because there's a large constituency of people who benefit from that. It's a whole complete economy. And as I indicated to you, it's a lucrative venture, so people engage in it for that purposes. And so to that extent, I tell you that the difficulty with the Galamsey is practical. It's one that we must have a conversation about. And I think that this government has done significantly well. If you look, and I think my senior brother in his days, I think he said something like that about how to structure the space so that it is regulated and can be controlled. That is being done. Across the country, you see small-scale or community mining schemes that are evolving. People are trained appropriately, and they are mining in places that is not in waterways, not in forest, but structured in a way that we can still exploit the gold endowments of our land and then still be able to protect our environment. The Upper East, I understand very clearly that the quality of gold there is really good. You go to that place, there's a system in place to ensure that people are mining regulated in ways that it doesn't devastate the environment and the activities attract, and therefore it's sustainable. So those efforts are in place. Even beyond that, Samson, the government under this president has initiated measures to be able to salvage or provide alternative livelihoods for individuals who hitherto were engaged strictly in Galamsey, so that there's no pathway for them to go back, but a pathway for them to move away from illegal mining. And that is the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, designed for illegal miners who have been pulled away from that act, so that they can find other employable avenues in life to advance themselves. So the issue for me is not that the government is not committed or focused on fighting Galamsey. that one, there is no debate about it. Everything has been given. I think that the president's very commitment of his presidency to that fight, for me, should settle the issue. And so that is not the problem we face here. Now, the question about whether the comment of the young MP is detrimental to the fight.
MP aspirant.
Sorry, PC.
NS Frimpong.
NS Frimpong is detrimental to the fight against Galamsey. For me, I think that there's a lot of clarification to be brought from what he has said. And you are moving us in that direction. Because initially, when you state the fact, when you hear him, your impression is that, why is he saying that? But when you process it a bit more, you come to the knowledge that maybe he's speaking to some specific issues that he needed to have clarified in his statement. For example, the issue about people going to community mining schemes or mining centers to extort from them, because generally the act of small-scale mining and mining in any form, unlike the multinational corporations mining, if a police officer comes there or a military person comes there, the appearance is that you are doing something and they want to take money from you. And he is stating, and this clarity ought to come from him, and I think we can do him the favor of allowing the investigation to unfold where he tells specifically what he's speaking to. For example, I just mentioned to you in the western region, across this country, in the Upper East, in many mining communities, there are community mining schemes that are evolving. So if a police officer shows up at these community mining schemes and begin to terrorize people, a military person begin to terrorize people, when properly they've been constituted and are doing mining the way the state is regulating, there's a tendency, naturally, even if you haven't done anything wrong, the police officer comes in. The natural fear for them would lead to people wanting to react in a certain way. So he's trying to tell them that please do not be disturbed or do not be afraid when instances like that happen.
The question is these abuses of power by security officers is acknowledged, it's well documented. Right. But does that justify this portion of his comments?
Now, so I'm just saying that
when they beat you, hit them back.
I haven't said that yet. The investigation then will give us that process and what exactly he meant by that.
No. We know the statement.
Right.
So
I'm saying that.
What investigation about that statement?
No, I'm just saying, so, I mean, if you sit on your properly regulated small-scale mining and a military officer comes and decide to abuse you, right, what should you do? What should you do? I'm not supporting what he said.
If they are taking their machines away, do not be afraid of the gun. So literally, if you have a gun, shoot them back.
No.
Shoot back at them
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that we are sitting here properly allowed and in law to be here. If somebody walks here and begin to intimidate us, should we just submit to that or we defend ourselves? That's its legal situation.
Not somebody, security officer.
Yes, but because we have not broken any law.
All right.
So if he comes here and begins to terrorize us, and I can say somebody because there is evidence of people posting as police officers, military people,
that's
been
true.
arrested in
that's
many
true.
instances.
Yeah.
And so it's a difficulty, and I'm saying that the communication he's given is loaded. He's not taking his time to properly distill the lines of communication he wants to advance and say that if you are on a properly constituted small-scale mining with papers and documentation covering it, nobody should come there and terrorize you because you're a citizen and you have rights. And so that communication there can be distilled for us through the investigation so we understand what he's communicating. So I don't want us to summarily say that he has said something that is detrimental. On the face of it, you can make that conclusion. The investigation, I think that we should have...
He's acknowledged and apologized.
Very well. Perhaps the investigation will show us what exactly he meant. And if these are the things he meant, next time just be clear in what you're communicating and that will help us. But I can agree how on the face of it you conclude that this is not helpful.
All right.
Let's not.
Mary is back, and let's hear Mary briefly.
Just one small point. Not on the basis of that statement for us to castigate and completely vanquish the gains that has been made and the commitment that has been demonstrated to stop Galamsey.
There's actually an expectation that at the level of the party, like Sule just mentioned, you should be taking some disciplinary action against him.
But Samson, you are the lawyer. You have to accord people the opportunity to state their case. He's made a comment, and just based on your conversation, your own leading of us to answer the question.
That part of the comment,
yes.
Do you condemn it?
Which part of the comment? To say that...
Hit back.
No, but I'm saying that I can show you a publication of people, 13 or so people who are posting as military people who have gone to extort money from people who are legitimately doing community mining. All right? What is the situation there? If he is saying people like that when they come, don't allow for that. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't want to rationalize what he says, but if you are faced with that, what you do, and if you do something, if you confront an individual like that,
okay.
who is an imposter, who is an imposter,
he didn't say that.
No, I'm saying that
right.
There are people like that in the system.
That's true, that's
exactly.
true. Yeah.
So if you confront an imposter, and it turns out that truly that's an imposter, would you have done anything wrong?
Okay.
So it's a difficult.
Yes, let's go to Mary. Let's go to Mary now, but Sule, quickly.
Yes, Samson, I think that it's important to really clarify this whole issue about it is the fight against Galamsey that made the MPP lose certain constituencies or whatever it is. Because see, if we are not careful, then going into 2024, the MPP will say, well, this is a lesson we have learned, and therefore it's risky for us to go fighting the Galamsey thing because we lost in 2020 election because of that. Then the NDC would say, oh, okay, because the MPP says they actually lost this because of the fight against Galamsey, and therefore they will also soften their stance. But this is something that I think we need a national commitment to. And I just don't think that claim is true. Look, if you take the tally in Upper East region, Abaige, the one who was regional minister, lost. Not because there was Galamsey in Navrongo. You come to Haji Alima Mahama in Gambaga na Lerugo. She lost. Not because there's Galamsey or there was a fight against Galamsey there. Okoboy lost in Accra. Is there Galamsey in Lojukuku? Where was the MPP fighting Galamsey?
No, but there were areas that people could logically, reasonably ascribe the loss to the campaign. And those are the areas that the NDC also spent time making the counter-campaign. And in fact, I think Joy News did a certain analysis of some of those constituencies and projected a certain logical trend.
No, so you see, here, for example, I can go through a list of 29 MPP MPs who lost in the 2020 elections. Not in constituencies that you would say there was Galamsey happening.
All right.
Madina,
all right.
Adenta, Krowo, Lojokuku, you know, are these Navrongo, what do we call it? As I said, Haji Ali Mohammed's place, Gambaga, you know, and all that. So just as there are places that you would say, I mean, who would have imagined that Amewu can win Hohoe? So just as the MPP pulled surprises in some areas, including my good friend Honorable Amin Ante's constituency, where they say, oh, the MPP has always won. Daboya Bankarago, where the NDC has always won. But the MPP won in those areas. So why would it be that, oh, we lost Christian Huni Valley or whatever, Mrekuduka, who is, I think he's an MP. Takwa. Takwa has been a mining hub. Kukwati, you know, Obuasi, since we were growing, was a mining area. And I expect that these are areas that illegal mining will be taking place. And yet they won those seats. So why would it be that in the areas that were lost, where mining is taking place, then we say, oh, it's because we are fighting illegal mining.
All right.
That is the small point. You see, there are local issues that explains the parliamentary election. It's not a national election. So in these mining communities, what explains the loss? You understand? So the fact that you want to generalize and say somebody lost, Richard, we are in the mining community.
Richard, we are aware of a push within the MPP trying to rationalize why. No, it's there. In fact, it is that push that motivated the PC to say what he said.
No, I don't.
And he said it in the presence of the regional minister. Because there are people who are arguing within your party that you lost many seats in the 2020 elections because of your fight against Galamsey.
But because of the
but that is a fallacy. That's seriously a fallacy. If you take the constituency results, many seats were lost in non-mining areas. Many seats done in mining areas. That's the first thing. The second thing you must understand is that miners voted against the MPP in the 2020 elections because of the way they implemented the Galamsey.
Okay. All right. Mary.
That's your analysis.
So, thank you.
Altogether.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mary, so as we understand, there are people who say you can't expect the NDC or the government to say anything about this gentleman because we are going to corruption, and the president says, I want evidence. When it comes to Galamsey, there are situations where he's been presented with the evidence, but he's looked the other way. Professor Frimpong Boateng's situation is debatable because people say you don't actually find concrete evidence in some of the things he says, beyond simply giving a narration, saying things that he may have witnessed, but no evidence somewhat to back it. But when it came to, is it Wuntumi, Akonta Mining, it is the state that issued a statement and caught him, stripped him, pants down, that he was doing the wrong thing in the Tano Nimri forest. And yet, nothing has happened to him. Citizens sent a petition. Martin Pebu and engineer Ken Ashigbe sent a petition to the police. Well, I don't know if the police are proud that as of today, how many years since, they haven't moved a muscle on the subject. Hello, Mary.
On put it off.
Hello, Mary.
Hello, something.
Yeah, so are you one of those expecting that the party or government may take certain steps, moral, rather than, if you like, legal, against this MP hopeful for Amenfi East?
Yes, something. I believe that the party, if it wants the people of Ghana to believe that certainly the president and the party mean business, then they should be putting in place some of their code of conduct. That is, if they have them to speak to some of these despicable utterances that are made by officials, and this also has a tendency to bring the party's reputation into disrepute. Again, I believe that the party leadership, particularly those who speak for the party, should be seen to manifestly condemn these utterances because they don't portend well for us as a people. And so Richard, who is speaking the way he does, trying to say that he could have been speaking for imposters, when the gentleman clearly in the recording said that they have stopped Galamsey, the Galamsey. They have cancelled all the structures government has put in place to stop that. Which is the Galamsey? This is where the security services have been put so that we stop the illegalities that are going on in the various communities, taking away our livelihoods as farmers, taking away the quality water we are drinking. So they should forget the fact that the people of Ghana just take everything they say hook, line, and sinker. We are a discerning people, and we discern the right from wrong. And so nobody can tell us that what the gentleman said, he planned to say it in any other way. And as I said in my introduction, this has gotten to impunity levels, and this, what he did, has never happened before. And if it is not taken care of by the party and also by the state, then it means what is coming, we all must be ready to face the consequences. Something.
All right. Thank you very much.